This is unreal.
The weather, an uncontrollable force, giving us life and taking it away. As our planet heats up, the weather is getting more extreme.
Guys, we've got cars floating again.
More terrifying.
Avalanche!
And even more catastrophic.
If you're the praying type, please just pray for us, because this is really scary.
With incredible self-shot footage.
I thought Titanic came into my head.
From the front line of fear.
The biggest challenge we have is going against Mother Nature.
It's an extremely challenging environment.
We witness firsthand.
What I was feeling was burning from inside out.
The wrath of Mother Nature.
I was saying everything's going to be okay, even though in my head I knew that was a lie.
I'm getting out of here.
It's like your brain doesn't understand what you're seeing.
From twisted tales of terror.
I don't want to die in my store.
Death was right around the corner.
Earth-shattering natural disasters.
It's an earthquake.
You're dicing with danger. If you're in their way, you die.
And stories of sheer destruction.
Oh my God!
It's all gone.
It looks like World War II.
We meet the people who've stared death in the face.
We're not going to get out of this alive.
And survived the full force of the world's deadliest weather.
Really kicking our ass.
Coming up in this episode. Residents run for their lives after violent volcanic eruptions in Hawaii.
This is insane.
It just ripped the ground open and it's just going straight up in the air.
As deadly molten magma creeps across the island, destroying everything in sight.
Don't get any closer.
This is not a water area.
In Texas, it's a race against time to rescue elderly people from potentially fatal flooding.
You can't see in it, it's not very clear.
There's a bridge here.
And in England, a paddleboarder battles high winds and tumultuous tides to attempt a mammoth mission.
Oh man, this is not good. If I don't get round these cliffs, I'm going to be in serious trouble.
Gonna be a proper battle.
Hawaii, part of a group of tropical islands nestled in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The so-called Big Island is home to Lori Maximenko and her husband, Steve.
We love it because it's like paradise. The temperature only varies within like 10 or 15 degrees, and it's just such a beautiful place to live.
But Hawaii is also home to a deadly volcano named Kilauea, which has been erupting almost continually for over 30 years. As resident Gabe Humphreys is all too aware.
I was born and raised on the Big Island, Hawaii. So lava is not like something completely new to me.
It's May 2018, and a sudden surge of magma causes Kilauea's crater floor to collapse. Lava starts to drain from the volcano, and a series of earthquakes causes cracks, known as fissures, to appear in the ground all over the island.
These cracks are getting bigger. And it does kind of smell a little sulfur right there. There's heat coming from the cracks in the road. So that was a pretty good indicator that lava was going to pop up in this area.
Hot, molten rock starts to ooze from the cracks, with an intensity that few could have predicted. And the deadly menace begins to engulf the island.
The lava just kept creeping closer and closer every day. We became more and more concerned.
Across town in Leilani Estates, Local residents Denise Dalton and her husband Heath are also concerned.
The fissure opened up at the bottom of Leilani. You look at the line, I was like, that's gonna go right where our house is.
Suddenly, the pressure of volcanic gases underground proves too much.
At that point, it was just rip the ground open, and it's just going straight up in the air. You can hear cracks, explosions. And then you have the sound of the jet engine. It kind of hits pretty much all the senses.
As Denise and Heath flee their home, along with thousands of others,
Let's go!
More of Luana has been taken out.
Gabe decides to stand his ground and risk his life to record the devastating disaster as it unfolds.
We got some lava here. This is insane.
There's mass plant die-off and brush fires, wildfires that was caused by the lava.
Wow. I'm okay though. I just want you to know that I'm doing good. And this is an update. I gotta watch the rocks falling. They're flying about 100 feet. This is a fissure that is opened up and lava is pouring out of it. It's insane.
There's 24 fissures in total. The crack could open up in the surface of the earth and swallow a house, or have enough heat to burn down the house.
Another fissure. Wow. I'm danger close, people. I'm getting out of here. Lava falling. Lava falling. Wow.
And with the lava comes another deadly threat.
My biggest concern was volcanic gases, SO2, and all those even deadlier gases.
As new fissures open up all around the island,
That is incredible.
Laurie and her husband Steve evacuate, but soon return to the area to assess the escalating disaster.
Oh my gosh, honey. Don't get any closer.
We wanted to get back there just to get an idea of how close the lava was. It was just happening all around us.
This is happening right now.
I think that's when panic really set in, that this was not over and it was going to get much worse before it got any better.
The lava is burning at temperatures of over 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit and is destroying everything in its path. Directly in the line of fire is the home of retired residents Larry and Jerry Butler.
Yeah, I didn't realize the severity of it until a friend called and said that a fissure had opened up a block away from our house and lava was heading towards our house. I think it was about a block away.
And it was flowing downhill towards ours.
But we couldn't do anything about it.
By nightfall, the lava has reached Laurie's neighborhood.
We saw the lava coming up out of the ground in our neighbor's backyard. So we actually walked back there. I had to get into the mindset of, okay, we're going into a dangerous area.
Oh, she's hot.
There's going to be heat, there's going to be fire, there's going to be gases.
Max.
Max had a rake in the back of our truck, and so he grabbed a rake and actually dipped the rake down into the lava. It was literally almost touching the house. It was amazing. It was like a lava river, only 2 houses away from our house and happening right before our very eyes.
Later, residents watch in horror as violent explosions cause carnage.
I've never experienced anything that powerful or that uncontrollable.
And the devastating lava flow destroys entire communities.
There was no use wondering whether we had a place to live later. It was gone.
It's August 2017, and Hurricane Harvey, a 280-mile-wide Category 4 behemoth, has made landfall in Texas, USA. As the hurricane moves further inland, it dumps a record 51 inches of rain in some parts of the state, causing catastrophic flooding. One of the places worst hit is the city of Houston, home to local resident Wade Grimes.
It was a lot of rainfall, not as much of the wind damage that you would get from a hurricane, but just tons and tons of water. The water level rose 4 or 5 feet in a matter of hours in the middle of the night, and people were woke up, from a sleep with water in their house.
Hi, this is my neighbor Eric. This is his boat. Eric, say hi.
Having escaped the hurricane unharmed, Wade and his neighbor Eric Johansson decide to try and help those less fortunate.
Eric had came over and he knocked and said, "Hey, I've got the boat. Do you want to go out and see if we can help anybody?"
As they steer the boat through the flood-ravaged streets, Eric receives a desperate call about a nursing home in need of assistance.
When we heard that the river was rising drastically, that's when the nursing home was taking on water and were calling for immediate assistance. Anybody that was able and capable of helping evacuate a lot of the residents at the home. My neighbor and I went not knowing exactly what we were getting into. Neither one of us had ever done this before and didn't know really what to expect.
Don't go right there, because I saw that guy get stuck.
But as they race to rescue the vulnerable veterans, Wade and Eric discover the rising floodwaters are hiding huge hazards.
There's a bridge here. Yeah.
There's barricades either side of this stop sign.
We saw nothing but what looked like a lake. You're navigating a boat where a car or truck or a vehicle should be driving, and the water is very murky. You can't see in it, it's not very clear.
This is not a water area. But it's like any other lake I've been on.
Stop signs are, 7 foot, 8 feet tall, and the water was over that. We would see objects in the water and we realized they're cars. It was definitely a kind of a shock to the system.
We're going across, parking lots, we're going across roads. I could have hit something hard enough that it cracked the fiberglass hull and could have potentially caused a leak.
Eventually, the pair arrive at the nursing home and are overwhelmed by what they find.
We showed up, there was probably maybe half a dozen boats or so by the time we arrived. It was pretty humbling, seeing how many people were out there.
It was just everyday people who had a boat that wanted to help their fellow man. It was fantastic to see everybody come together to help out those who couldn't help themselves. It's a heartwarming sight.
That's about as far as I'm going right there.
With the residents of the nursing facility mostly wheelchair-bound, the volunteers have to take extra care helping them onto the boats.
They're already frail and fragile people, and this terrible event happens to them. They couldn't walk on their own, and we actually had to pick the wheelchairs up and put them on the boat.
We got front wheel over. We got you.
It was just kind of a trial and error.
Guys and gals that are, on the ground trying to lift those folks up. It's literally a brute force manpower. There's no pretty way around it.
All right, watch your step.
Trying to get them secure without, the wheelchair falling over. It was scary.
There we go. A little bit of a recliner, but We'll get you there.
Everybody was eager to get in there and help. Nobody ever lost, their tempers. Everybody's there to help. Everybody kind of waits in line.
I'll drive the boat if y'all just stay with them. We'll get it push it out.
And it's more or less controlled chaos.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Conducting rescues in hazardous flood conditions is usually a job for the professionals. But from time to time, everyday people are called upon to perform some extraordinary heroics. In China, a flash flood has stranded this vehicle, and the driver is trapped. As the vehicle sinks deeper, Good Samaritans risk their own lives to try and free the stricken driver. But the car seems impenetrable as the rescuers use rocks in a desperate bid to break windows. Incredibly, their dogged determination pays off, and a shell-shocked woman is pulled to safety through the sunroof. To the relief of everyone involved. Also in China, heavy rain from Typhoon Mongud has left rivers swollen. Passers-by suddenly spot a man who's been washed away in the flood. As he struggles to keep his head above the torrent, the locals scramble to help. At first, it seems he's been dragged under the bridge. But then they notice he's clinging onto debris for dear life. As the rescuers drag the victim from the raging river, he's exhausted, but lives to tell the tale. This school bus in India has become stranded in an underpass flooded by torrential rainfall. Luckily, a local with a bulldozer is on hand to conduct a remarkable rescue. With the help of more passers-by, the school children climb into the bulldozer's bucket before being driven to dry land. Another 2 trips, and all those on board are safe and dry, thanks to these have-a-go heroes.
We'll drop off and be back.
Back in Texas, neighbors Wade and Eric are helping to evacuate the elderly residents of a flooded care home.
Ladies, we're gonna go for a little boat ride.
I had to physically pick these people up and hand them to these people, and to keep them out of the water and keep their clothes dry and keep their wheelchairs clean, because the water is very dirty.
Okay, all right.
Ready? Your turn now. Back her up.
Wade and Eric take advantage of the flooded streets to transport the elderly residents to safety, helped by many other members of the community.
This wheel does lock. Yeah, it's locked.
And everybody, they came out to us. They made sure our boats were not grinding on the concrete whenever we came in. They stood in waist-deep water. We handed them to somebody. 1, 2, 3. It was a pretty well-oiled machine.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, no worries. More plug out.
With the evacuation complete, Wade and Eric return to the flooded care home to try and save supplies and belongings.
When we got most of the people out, I decided to go in and try to get as many things in from inside that these people would be needing. Medication, blankets.
That mattress is floating. We're not going to take that one. This one is still dry.
It was very shocking when you go into where people are living and you're in knee-deep water. It was very tough to, kind of put into words. And the smell, this was sewage had been coming out of the floors. It was scary.
Oh, there's a lot more supplies. We're trying to get the medical supplies, medication, etc.
All 130 residents are rescued from the home. And after salvaging supplies, Wade and Eric returned to dry land.
Boats up out of the water. Good deeds done.
Hurricane Harvey was one of the most devastating on record, causing around $125 billion worth of damage. But the community spirit Wade and Eric witnessed that day is something they will remember for years to come.
You saw a lot of good of coming out in people that, quite frankly, didn't know each other. I saw the better side of humanity.
The amount of selfless acts that we saw that day. It's very heartwarming when people put their differences aside, put their daily problems aside, and go out and help one another. You know, it's a beautiful thing.
Still to come, volcanic eruptions get more violent as molten lava continues to destroy homes across Hawaii.
It was kind of devastating to watch it happen.
I just was in shock.
And a super typhoon slams into Saipan, battering buildings with 180 miles per hour winds.
I don't think I ever experienced that terror in my life.
Meet paddleboarder Charlie Head from the Isle of Wight in the UK.
I've been paddleboarding maybe about 15 years. Paddleboarding is a little bit more vulnerable compared to a kayak. You're very open, standing up, and you need to adapt to different terrain and different conditions. I have a very special relationship with it, and I've used it for most of my biggest journeys.
Like in 2012.
Bye!
When he set himself the challenge of paddleboarding from Land's End to London. A 500-mile mission that tested the very limits of his endurance. But Charlie wasn't done. And in 2016, he decided to pick up where he left off and set himself the ultimate goal to circumnavigate England and Wales, finishing back in Land's End. A total distance of around 2,000 miles.
Paddleboarding around the United Kingdom was a very spontaneous journey. It really did start with me just packing a bag with basic essentials, no plan, no structure, just for me to be governed by the wind and tide and go.
And so, armed with nothing more than his paddleboard, a few basic supplies, and a love of adventure, Charlie heads off.
I find so much of life so controlled, so structured. It leaves such little room for you to be able to spontaneously act on your environment around you. And I find that really rewarding. But it can be exceptionally stressful as well.
Paddling headfirst out into the open ocean is no easy task, especially if you're going the wrong way.
I went anti-clockwise, which was a mistake, and that's due to the tide and the wind. England has quite a rugged, wild coastline, and the tide can be quite strong. If I'm going to aim for a bit of coastline, if I'm going to do 60 kilometers in a day, I've got 6 hours of tide with me, so I've got a certain amount of time to get to a certain place before the weather changes all the time.
I've got to get around these. The tide is just about to turn.
The wind and the tide were the only things that could really dictate how far I go each day. They are just too powerful for me to fight against. But I didn't have the luxury of time. So really, whatever the weather, I would try and make headway. Because of that, sometimes it would lock me into cliffs and into situations that are maybe a little bit more dangerous. And sometimes the tide would suck me into different places that I didn't want to be in. It would trap me in certain shipping areas. Oh, man, this is not good. It's quite intimidating because I'm so small, and these tankers and ferries stuff, they're not going to see me, especially in a big sea state.
To avoid being sucked out towards these tankers by the tide, Charlie tries sticking closer to the cliffs. But the tides also make this a risky course of action.
The way the tides work meant that wherever I landed at low tide. And it exposed a lot more hazards. I had huge amounts of reef and sandbanks and rocks and everything to trail through. You get the tide wrong, you can really get yourself in trouble.
Tides can rise and fall at a rapid rate, easily catching out those who don't take them seriously. On Daytona Beach in the US, a family's car is being swallowed by a rapidly rising tide, with a child still on board. As waves batter the vehicle, lifeguards desperately fight to rescue the child before the car is swept out to the sea. Finally, they manage to pull the child free. Just in the nick of time. In Honolulu, in Hawaii, a treacherous tide is dragging this little boy into the ocean. As his family struggle to save him, other beachgoers race to his rescue, all of them battling the turbulent tide together. Eventually, the group manages to pull the boy to safety before he is swallowed by the ocean.
Here they are.
In Goat Rock Beach, California, USA, a family playing too close to the shore have been swept out to sea. Winds whip up waves as high as 40 feet as they're relentlessly battered by the rough surf. As the family struggle to keep their heads above water, a rescue helicopter is scrambled. And one by one, they're all winched to safety. Thankfully, there were no casualties, but it's a sobering reminder how merciless the sea can be. Battling winds back in the UK, Charlie Head is halfway through his challenge to become the first person to circumnavigate England and Wales on a paddleboard.
It's gonna be a proper battle.
Paddling into the wind is a bit of a nightmare. Sometimes the conditions were so strong I could barely paddle against it.
This is gonna be a fight, eh?
I had a very strong wind that was just pushing straight on shore and into the cliff. And I had miles and miles to go before I could find a cove or an inlet or a beach. The weather is getting worse and worse. If I don't get around these cliffs, I'm going to be in serious trouble.
There's nowhere for me to land.
In dire need of a safe place to camp for the night, Charlie's options are quickly running out.
The sea state's getting bigger and bigger. I've only got a few hours of tide before it's going to be against me. And that, combined with the wind, means I'm not going to be able to make it.
The combined power of the tide and the wind proved too much for Charlie, who decides to take drastic action.
I have no choice but to scramble up a cliff and camp up there for the night and wait for this weather to turn.
Choice campsite tonight.
So I was locked into a cliff edge for a couple of days. I've got limited supplies and just be patient. And as soon as this wind turns, then I can get the hell out of here.
Forced to camp on a cliffside by the brutal winds, Charlie weathers the storm until it's safe to return to the sea. And finally, after 5 grueling months, Charlie arrives in Land's End, completing his circumnavigation of England and Wales with a renewed respect for the power of the elements.
Paddleboarding around England and Wales was extraordinary. The wind and tide did completely govern my journey. They were my god.
Earlier, we saw how part of Hawaii's Kilauea volcano collapsed, causing chaos across the island. With molten rock spewing from huge cracks in the ground, shooting hundreds of feet into the air.
Close as I want to get. Wow.
And magma engulfing homes and devastating communities. Watching the lava devour her neighbor's home is resident Lori Maximenko.
It was amazing. It was like a lava river right only 2 houses away from our house and happening right before our very eyes.
Gases escaping from underground continue to cause violent explosions.
I've never experienced anything that powerful or that uncontrollable.
Hours later, Larry and Jerry's home is also engulfed by the lava.
It was kind of devastating to watch it happen. See the power of nature coming through. It was almost a straight line going right through our house. So. You could see the lava coming through the carport and around the front of the house.
There was no use wondering whether we had a place to live later. It was gone. I just was in shock.
Hawaii-born Gabe Humphreys is busy helping others evacuate.
I'm gonna go help this woman. She might need my help. She's getting her stuff out of the house at the last minute. I noticed the woman dragging out household items over the lava flow.
Do you need some help? Do you need some help?
Yeah, it was a pretty emotional time. That was one of the most emotional times. Oh my goodness. I'll give you a hand. Just the heartbreak, you know, the uncertainty. This is a crazy place right here.
The Kilauea eruptions produced enough lava to fill 320,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Around 700 homes were destroyed, and nearly 2,000 people were forced to evacuate. Heath Dalton and his wife fled to safety, but their home was burnt to the ground.
I'd already knew I lost the house, but when I saw it, it was kind of a punch in the gut.
This is one of the first houses to go in this whole episode.
I just broke down. Where do we go from here? What do we do? How do we survive? We have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old looking at us going, what's going on? And, you know, we had to explain to them that the hot lava got our house. All their toys, their room, everything they had known about that house.
A few days later, Lori and her husband also returned to their devastated neighborhood.
When we got there, we saw that the entire community had been taken by lava. So we knew at that point that our home was gone. There was a sense of sadness. Our neighborhood was gone. Our home was gone.
The continuous lava flow covered more than 13 square miles, completely altering the Hawaiian landscape forever.
It just covers the land and it just burns everything down and just levels it all brand new. And it takes 50 or 100 years to get anything close to what the jungle was like at one time. It gets covered in lava. So it's pretty sad to see that go.
The eruption was so extreme, it took nearly 3 months for the explosions to die down completely.
It felt like a dream, like a bad dream. The volcano became our lives for 3 months. Every day when I'd wake up, that was the first thing I thought about, is what's going to happen today? Are we going to make it through this?
Tornadoes, they come and they go. Hurricane comes and it goes. This can go on for months to years, so it's the only natural disaster of its kind that just continues to go on.
This is just one of those natural wonders of the world.
I always knew nature was ruler. It does what it wants to do, and you can't really do much to argue about it.
It's like the hand of God coming down and taking control. It was out of our hands. We just had to let Mother Nature take her course.
Saipan in the Pacific Ocean is the largest of the Northern Mariana Islands and is known for its beautiful beaches and mountainous landscapes. But the downside of this tropical paradise is tropical storms, as resident Walter Goodridge knows all too well.
We're living here in paradise. You expect a certain storms every now and then. So it's not something that people worry about, every day of their lives. It's something that you keep an eye on and you follow the weather reports.
Some of the deadliest of the tropical storms are typhoons, massive cyclones that form in the eastern hemisphere. And in October 2018, a potent typhoon named U2 forms over the northwestern Pacific and heads straight for Saipan.
We were aware that something was brewing in the area, so everyone was on alert.
Also preparing for the incoming onslaught are Janet Santos and her family.
The night of the storm, my husband and I sat there looking out, monitoring the wind, watching the palm trees go back and forth. The wind was getting stronger and stronger.
The intensity was gradually increasing. I started to feel the windows rattling. I have a glass door leading out to the balcony of my apartment, and that started to shudder and shake.
The frame for the sliding door is loose.
U2, rapidly gathering strength, is now at the most severe level, a Category 5 super typhoon, with impact imminent.
Just before the strength of the storm arrived, we felt it in the house, sort of like an earthquake. I felt the floor shook. Then everybody just went into panic mode.
U2 slams into Saipan with ferocious 180-mile-per-hour winds. The storm is tearing through Janet's family home. And trapping Walt in his apartment.
There was water being blown in under the doors. So my apartment was started to flood. Something like a Category 5 typhoon is nothing to be played with. This is definitely something that can take someone's life. So it's something that can get really scary because you don't know when it will end and you don't know exactly where it's going to come from next.
Typhoons are an ever-present threat to the people of the Pacific. And when they strike, the safest place to be is behind closed doors. In Japan, Typhoon Kilauea is battering this parking lot with 125-mile-per-hour winds. And it's not long before the terrifying typhoon shows its true power. Angrily tossing a car as if it were a child's toy. Luckily, there was no one in the car on the receiving end of this typhoon's tantrum. Unlike in Taiwan, where this man drives headfirst into danger. As the 140-mile-per-hour winds of Typhoon Moronti give him a brutal reminder of why he should have stayed indoors. Also in Taiwan, residents are left horrified as Typhoon Meggy rips the scaffolding from a 24-story building. The man-made structure is no match for Meggy's 100-mile-per-hour winds and is sent plummeting to the ground below. Sadly, 3 people were injured amongst the chaos. Back in Saipan, Walt's apartment is under siege from the savage super typhoon Yutu.
As the storm got more intense, I realized that the sliding door of my apartment in the back room in the balcony, it was going to become unhinged. So I had to stand up and hold the glass.
As the typhoon continues to rip apart Janet's home, her family are desperately trying to take cover.
We took our mattress and put it over us. My daughter was behind me, cuddling with us. I don't think I ever experienced that terror in my life.
Across town, Walt uses his own mattress to help protect his glass door.
If I hadn't barricaded the door, then if it had blown out, then I would have been more exposed to the elements, and something could have flown in from the outside, or the glass itself, as it shattered, could have ripped me in half.
It was like a tornado in the room. I was really scared that the building was going to collapse.
I had to hold the screen door, pull it towards me to stop it from blowing out, and then other times I had to push it to stop it from blowing in. So for the next 5 hours, I stood in a pool of water in my bedroom, preventing my glass door from blowing out.
It felt like a very long time. We peeked out from behind the bed and started looking around to see the wind has decreased. That's when I started feeling the relief that it's gonna end and we're still alive. Thank God.
After fighting the fury of the 180-mile-per-hour winds all through the night, sunrise brings new hope.
By about 7 a.m., things sort of died down. By then, the sun had risen, so I could see the damage that was around in the neighborhood. There were trucks and buses flipped over. There was tin sheets in the trees.
Most areas were just wiped out. Every house we passed was ripped off. You find the foundation is all that's left. It was just very traumatic. And that's when I realized just the magnitude of Super Typhoon Yutu.
Super Typhoon Yutu was the strongest typhoon ever recorded to hit Saipan, causing millions of dollars in unexpected damage. Over 3,000 homes were destroyed, and tragically, at least 2 people lost their lives. The effect the super typhoon has had on Janet and her family is life-changing.
We love Saipan very much, but we're too scared to stay. I'm really scared that any typhoon is gonna come around again.
This is something that can change people's lives. It's very traumatic and something that shouldn't be taken lightly.
There's no doubt that bad weather can cause chaos, catastrophe, and cataclysmic carnage. But sometimes it's just downright inconvenient. In London, England, heavy rain has swamped a high street. But one impatient driver refuses to wait and dives straight in. But he's left with a sinking feeling.
Why would you go for that? What are you doing?
Much to the delight of onlookers. He won't be getting out of that in a hurry. This woman is enjoying a trip to an indoor shopping mall in China's Guangdong province when the heavens open. Rain accumulating on the roof of the shopping center causes the ceiling to collapse, bringing with it a deluge of rainwater that washes the woman away. A fellow shopper rushes to her aid, and remarkably, she suffers only minor injuries. But the incident certainly put a dampener on her day out. And film festival fans might also be left feeling deflated. At this event in Colorado, in the US. After organizers laid on blow-up beds ahead of a nighttime movie screening, a storm starts to roll in, and strong winds lead to a massive mattress migration. The wayward inflatables are sent tumbling across the terrain in what becomes a pretty climactic scene. It's less Sleeping Beauty and more Gone with the Wind. In this episode, we've seen weather at its absolute worst. We've seen how Mother Nature rules the roost.
This is insane.
We've seen her tear down, rip up, and completely destroy. And next time, there will be more. Because deadly weather stops for no one.